Right.
Hello, welcome once again to Pale Blooms and Beyond. Thank you for joining us today. If you do like the programming you see here and the musicians and artists I visit with, please be sure and hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel. Lou Duffy-Howard is an English songwriter, vocalist, and bassist who may best be known for her time with Hull indie band Red Guitars. An early single, Good Technology, promoted by John Peel, was followed by a Johnny Marr invite to tour with the Smiths. The original lineup was Hallam Lewis, Jeremy Kidd, Lou, John Rowley, and Matt Higgins. From 1982 to 86, the band released a couple of studio albums and a slew of singles. In 1993, a compilation of BBC sessions would appear, and then in 2007, the compilation Good Technology, 1982 to 84. The band reformed for a one-off show in 1998 and for UK tours in 2022 and 2023. The band's latest moniker is Undead Guitars. Lou currently fronts psych folk rock band Loudhailer Electric Company with members of Red Guitars, Dead Fingers Talk, and The Planet Wilson. And most recently, my guest has released the concept album, There and Back, experimental tracks and videos inspired by train journeys. All right, well, welcome, Lou.
Yeah, great to be here, Greg. Thanks for inviting me. Yeah.
Oh, you're very welcome, very welcome. Well, take us back. Were you born in Hull?
No, I've lived here since I was a teenager. I'm from the north of England, so I went from Manchester to Leeds, further along east to Hull, and that was as far as I could get without going off the edge. So
Going
stayed
into the
here.
ocean. Yeah, yeah. It surprised me. I didn't know this until just probably several months ago. The size Texas is larger than the UK. The size.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't. That blew my mind. I knew Texas was big, but I did not know that. Yeah, my only
Oh,
time visiting. You mentioned Manchester. The only time I visited was to Manchester. Yeah, so and that was to
yeah.
see the chameleons.
Ah, right. Well, interestingly, I actually went to the same school for a while as Mark Burgess,
Did
and from the
you?
same from the same town,
Did you? Okay.
Middleton, yeah, in North Manchester. And I was a really, a good Chameleons fan back in the day.
Yes.
Um, and so I watched his interview on your channel.
Yes. Yes.
And watching his interview, I think I've had a little bit of contact with some of the other members of the band, or at least one of the other members of the band. I think they knew of the Red Guitars.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so, but not with Mark Burgess, I've never. But I watched his interview and he said, oh, my school days were terrible. I hated them.
Yes. Yeah. That was not
Okay.
that was not a good time for him. No, I talked to another guy not long ago, and he was and I can't remember what part of UK he was from. And I said my only time was Manchester. He said, "Really?" He said that would be like if you're in the UK going to Detroit. You want to visit Detroit, Michigan, or something.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, let me explain. It was to see a band. My favorite band. That's why I went. I didn't just pick out Manchester." Yeah, I would have gone
Yeah.
somewhere else on a trip. But,
Yeah.
but anyway,
Yeah,
anyway.
great band, the Chameleons, really good. So
Oh yes.
good to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you recall your early childhood growing up? Was there music in the house?
Yeah, music. I mean, as a yeah, I watched some of your interviews and I saw people speaking about this, and I really associate with what I saw other people saying. In my case, I didn't have any older brothers or sisters, so I had to kind of lead the way, basically. I came from a fairly musical family, but I didn't have any music lessons at school or at home. So I always felt a bit like the black sheep of the family, really, when it came to music. And yeah, my mum was into sort of early music, madrigals, Elizabethan singing,
Oh,
which it kind of wasn't my thing,
that wasn't yours.
not at all. But as I've grown older, I've realised that I was really it kind of seeped into me that early early music, and I'm not so much the singing, but the early music, the Baroque, and I love it now. So,
Yes.
yeah, I feel grateful for it now, even though at the time it was not
Right.
cool.
Right. That's funny with time how things do. You know, you
Mm.
mellow out to your taste as well.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
seeps in, like you said,
Yeah.
over time.
It does, but my early days of watching bands, I mean, the first time I went to see my first band, live band, about the age of 13, it blew me away. And I really wanted to be in a band then. I didn't want to be a fan. It was life-changing. And I
Right.
did also watch, which I really enjoyed, Dave Wolfenden's interview.
Yes. Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, really good guy. It was
What
great to
he
watch.
is. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he was, I guess, around the same age as me, and he lived in, I think he was in Leeds, or when he went to some gigs in Bradford, but he was talking about the same gigs that I went to as
Yeah.
well. And
Yes.
I really associated with that, and I enjoyed his interview a lot. I had a little
Yeah.
bit of, knew of Red Lorry, Yellow Lorry, and came across, I didn't know him, but I came across the band quite a lot. In fact, one of the bands I play in, Chill, the drummer, was the drummer in Red Lorry, Yellow Lorry for a while. So,
Yeah.
um, you
Well,
know, it was interesting to see.
yes. Yes. He's quite a character too. Yeah. You know.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, but
Yeah.
the first gig I went to was David Bowie being Ziggy Stardust
Oh, is that right?
at Leeds Roll Arena
Yeah. Yeah.
with
I
my
never
friend.
I never got to see David. I never got to see him live.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. To me, it's not something. I don't listen anymore. Really, it's not something that I don't know. It's not my favorite now. I've grown up, but it was my first big. Starman was the first. Wow,
Oh.
what is that? What is that alien being pointing at me on the television?
Right. Right.
Um, so when me and Julie, my friend, we kind of bunked off school and went down on the bus and had such an exciting time. And I saw Mick Ronson on the stage playing guitar, and that blew my mind really. And like I said, I thought I want to be in that band. I didn't want to be a fan. I didn't want to collect the records so much. I just wanted to play on the stage.
Yeah, that's what I tell you guys is
Mm.
you guys had concerts just about every night, and over here it's so few and far between that
Oh, right.
anybody,
Really?
and they're
Yeah.
usually the big headliner, not the
Yeah.
not the
Yeah.
alternative bands that I
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah, there were some great. I mean, a little bit older than that, I got to go in pub bands in Leeds. There was a gig in Leeds called the Ford Green, and I went every
yeah,
weekend
yeah.
saw a band there. But that David Bowie and the Ziggy Stardust, the Spiders from Mars, and of course later when I moved to Hull as a late older teenager, Mick Ronson was from Hull, so that did
Ah,
it for me. I'm going to live in the town that Mick Ronson was born in. Right?
right.
Send me there, yeah.
There you go. There you
Mm.
go.
But my friend Julie and I, we managed to get hold of David Bowie's address. He was living in Haddon Hall at the time. So we wrote him a fan letter.
Uh-huh.
And lo and behold, we got a couple of letters back. One, a handwritten letter from Angie Bowie,
Is that right?
which is still a prized possession. And in it, we said, Dear David, we've got our band. And our band is called the Weirdies in the Wardrobe. Now, this was just me and my friend, who we were 13 at the time, and we didn't actually play any instruments. We'd never had any music lessons. Julie used to sing into a hairbrush, of course, and I used to play the drums. I fancied being a drummer, and my
Hey,
mum and dad had these placemats which had pictures of roses on them, and I got four of those and put them in my bedroom and
all right.
pretended that I was playing the drums.
I could have joined you on a tennis racket. I could.
Perfect. We would have you in the band, but you would have to dress up weirdly in anything you could find. So we
Right.
wrote to David Bowie, we've got this band called Weirdies in the Wardrobe, and actually I've got my prop here.
Oh, do you?
So Angie Bowie wrote back, this letter
Oh,
arrived
that
in the
would be.
post.
Oh, that would be a nice memento to have. Yeah.
Oh, 1973, the 3rd of August, I think, August the 18th, 1973.
And she hand wrote that. Look at
And she
that.
handwrote the letter.
Yes.
And at the end of it, she actually says, good luck with Weirdies in the Wardrobe. Lovely name for a band.
Right. She liked
So
that.
my first band got the seal of approval from the Bowie family.
From Angie, yeah. Well,
So
that's
yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up because that's a lost art, handwriting,
yeah, yeah,
and writing
yeah,
letters to each
yeah.
other.
I mean, isn't that amazing?
Yes. And you've got the envelope and everything.
I've
Wow.
got the envelope and everything. Yeah, absolutely great. And then
I
I
bet.
also got I got a kind of later on, we got a typewritten letter, but it is hand typed. But I think this isn't the only one around with the David Bowie autograph on it.
Oh, the autograph on
So,
there.
so
I would
that when I was 13
I would
was
hang on to those. Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, that's
Well,
one of my prized possessions. But that was yeah, just
well,
so good,
well,
and still is.
can you remember one of the first singles or albums that you got yourself?
The first thing I bought was Ride a White Swan,
Ah,
T-Rex. Yeah, which I
T-Rex.
still
Yeah.
love. Really
Yeah.
love it. Yeah,
I do too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, Yeah, and my first albums were those sort of that kind of era really. Ziggy Stardust, Aladdin Sane, Alex Harvey Band. Me and my friend Julie, we used to share albums. So she bought
Yeah.
the Alex Harvey Band. Oh, Mott the Hoople. Went to see
Yeah.
Mott the
Oh,
Hoople with,
Martha Hoople,
and
Ian Hunter.
yeah, and they actually had Queen supporting them on
Oh,
that tour.
did
So we
they?
saw Queen supporting Mott the Hoople. I
Before they were
managed to get
headlining. Yeah.
I got no support. I managed to get um, it was Ariel Bender, who was the Luther Grosvenor, the guitarist in Mott the Hoople at the time. I got his autograph on a piece of paper that Queen threw out, which was an advert for their band, and it's actually on a little picture of Brian May's hair, which is, and I cut it out and put it in a little frame, but I can see
Oh,
behind it. It's Brian May's hair.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to see a
So.
band like that, before they were headlining, that's something that's got to be a nice experience. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Really good. So we got Mott the Hoople, one album each. She got Mott and I got the Hoople. And we'd swap them, and I remember going round to her house, or and where her mum was like, we weren't allowed to make a noise in a bedroom, so we used to listen to the album with no sound on. We were just listening to the scratch on the vinyl.
Oh, is that right? Really? Oh, that's something. Yeah. I remember growing up, speaking about that with my little transistor radio, listening to the radio,
Yeah,
and my parents would come with my mom, I can hear that. Turn that down, or go to sleep.
yeah,
Because it's late at night. So
yeah, yeah.
I kept turning it down each time they would come in until I
Yeah.
couldn't hear it anymore. But
Yeah,
yeah,
same memories. Yeah.
yeah,
And I remember listening here, we had Radio Luxembourg. I don't know if that
yeah,
was a thing.
yeah.
Um, and I do remember I remember John and Money Dancing coming out and hearing it on
Um,
Radio Luxembourg. And I remember the adverts. There was adverts. Seaweed
yes,
Award. And if I heard
yeah.
them now, good memories. Yeah.
Right, right. And
Mm.
sometimes the connection wasn't so good. It would kind of fade in and fade out.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Well, how about
Mm.
what age did you start playing bass?
Well, I was probably about 17, quite late, really, quite late. As I say, I didn't have any music lessons at school, didn't have, I don't know, yeah, I just didn't know. So I felt a bit of an imposter, really. I've never, well, much later on in life, in the last 10 years, I did actually do some piano lessons and learnt the theory, but, I've always just jammed along, really, and kind of winged it and managed to loud, confident, and wrong, but as long as
Right.
you do it again.
That's right. That's right. You keep doing it wrong. It's like that was intentional. That's the way it's. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, so,
Reinforcing that, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was probably about 17, something like 16, 17. Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
you mentioned some in bands and artists that you're into. Any other influences? Any other musical influences?
Musical influence. Well, I suppose first at that time, that was what they called the glam rock thing
Yeah.
was there.
Yeah.
And then we saw some great bands, Alex Harvey being really, really amazing. Um, Yeah, quite a lot of smaller bands in the pub in the Ford Green in Leeds. I remember seeing Motorhead. Well, the Sex
Oh,
Pistols actually. I know that if everybody who said they were at that Sex Pistols gig in Leeds at that time really was. It would have been packed and it was quite empty. But I remember going to that gig. It was all right. I went along because they were a bit of a novelty. It was okay.
yeah.
But it didn't really blow me away. And I think around that time there was another band playing called Dire Straits, and they sounded like a punk band as well. So I didn't bother going to that one. But
Right. Right.
yeah,
Yeah, they kind of
mm,
on the tail end of that pub rock scene, Dire
mm,
Straits. Yes.
yeah, yeah. But then
Yeah.
there was loads of great American sort of pub bands like the Beat Farmers and Green on Red.
Oh, yeah.
A bit
You rem-
later
do you
on.
do you remember Fabulous Poodles?
Oh yeah, I do
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
yes,
talked I
yeah.
talked to Bobby Valentino not long ago.
Ah, right,
He
okay.
was in that band. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
so so
yeah.
interesting. His sister is Ann Dudley. I didn't know that
Oh
till I
yeah,
did the interview. There
right.
was an Art of Noise and
Oh right. She was really influential as well and
right.
groundbreaking. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
were you in a band prior to Red Guitars?
Well, when I first came to Hull, brought my bass with me, and I met up with well, yeah, started going out in Hull to a club called the Welly Club, where I met up with someone who became a friend, Carrie, another who she was a guitarist, and had a few jams with her.
Wow.
And
Okay.
thought, oh, it'd be great to get a woman's band together. And we
Yeah.
had a few
Yeah.
jams together. Then we went off and did separate things. But that kind of started me doing my first gigs. And then the Red Guitars were known as the Czechs at the time. It was the same lineup, but we were called the Czechs.
Oh.
And
Checks or
It's that Czechs. I don't know where the name
oh,
comes because I wasn't in the band
like
originally.
Czechoslovakian.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. Yeah, I don't know why. I've no idea. I've never asked them why,
Okay.
actually.
All
It was
right.
the same lineup, except Matt, the drummer, had only just joined, and then we had a different bass player. They had a guy called Mark Douglas, who was a big Rasta guy. It was quite unusual in Hull. We were very much a kind of white working class population here, so um, he was the bassist, and the band had a little bit of a reggae touch to them. But the thing that was really interesting about the band, and still I feel so lucky to have got my place in the band really, was that Hallam, the guitarist, was brought up in South Africa. He lived
Oh,
for a lot of his childhood, early teenage years in South Africa, where in the days before the internet and before the world was so small and easy to listen to things, he was really influenced by the music from Soweto and that South African township music, that
yeah,
guitar music.
yeah,
So, and that was very unusual at that time when I first got into what became the Red Guitars. We were in a sea of synth bands, and we were a guitar band
right.
with a really unusual guitarist. The Good Technology single was a bit unusual. It was not like much of the rest of our music, which was much more intricate sort of guitar songs. And this was 4 or 5 years before Graceland, when Paul Simon made it popular here, and
Yeah,
suddenly everybody heard of it. We were doing it years before then.
right.
So I learnt my playing really from playing with Hal. He,
Oh, okay.
what he taught me by playing with, playing in that band has shaped my whole life really. It's been, I feel really grateful for that. So I
Yeah.
got my foot in the door when Mark, the bassist, was going back home for Christmas somewhere. And I got invited to, I was a fan, I used to go along, and would you like to stand in for this one gig? So I said, I'll give it a go. And I went along to a rehearsal. Didn't really have much. I had a very cheap bass, which came from a store called Woolworths, so kind of like,
Woolworth, okay, yes,
so
yes,
kind of hardware, I don't know. Oh gosh, something like a really cheap sort of thing. And I remember going along to the first rehearsal, and John Rowley said, "Oh, come on, Lou, let's get you a rounder sound." And he was twiddling
yes.
the knobs on this amp, which I'd borrowed. And I was going, "Oh,
Right.
a round sound. I wonder what that is."
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But
Yeah.
I'd learnt the songs, and the gig that we played was actually at the prison. It was a prison Christmas party
Was it?
just
Was it?
before Christmas,
Yeah. Oh,
and we played. I went and did the gig. It was really exciting. It was, yeah, it was great. Really enjoyed it. And after that, Mark never came back into the band, and I stayed in the band.
and
So I
you
got my
stayed.
place then. And we later changed the name to the Red Guitars. We recorded, I think, Good Technology, done some recording,
Oh,
sent it
yeah.
off to, well, John sent it to John Peel, and
Yeah.
I think there was another band. We wanted to change the name, and he thought of Red Guitars and
Oh,
just sent it to John Peel under the name Red Guitars. So that stuck, and it was good.
oh,
It was kind of relates to that left wing view of
I
politics.
was wondering if that's where that came from.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
we've all got, we're all to different degrees and I mean, it's 40 years ago, over 40 years ago, but
Kind
we're
of like
still
the
all, we still have
kind of
our, yeah,
kind of like the
still.
band. like the band Redskins too. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
they're very
yeah,
left
yeah,
leaning.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Well, that's interesting. That's interesting. So John
yeah.
Peel obviously liked what he heard. Uh, did you
Yeah.
know? Did you know his history where he got his first start on radio? Did you?
Oh, I don't know. No, no.
Oklahoma City,
Oh,
over here
right.
in the
Okay.
States. Right, right.
Right. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. I think I knew he was in America. Yeah,
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 yeah. At the
yeah.
time when he
Mm,
came over here, of course, the Beatles were huge, and
yeah.
we loved anything Liverpool or anyone with that accent, And of course, he's from there too. So
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's what helped him get
Yeah,
the
yeah.
DJ slot was his accent.
Oh, so good. He was great. I mean, later on in the Red Guitars, after the Red Guitars are split up, so it must have been about 1998, there was a television program. Channel 4 did a television program called um, Peel Off the Ring Road, it was called, but ended up being called Sound of the Suburbs, where he went round some different towns and interviewed and chatted to people from those towns. And he came to Hull. I can't remember how, but we met up, and we just recorded an interview in Hull, and he was asking me about music in Hull and what it's like, and he was really nice. And it was actually the cup final day, and I think Liverpool were in the cup final, and he was missing the final
He was
to
missing
record
that.
this interview in Hull. But what was really funny was that, to me anyway, he came up in his car, which was like a left-hand drive Mercedes or something, and
Yeah.
he gave me a lift home. It was really nice. He gave me a lift
Is
home from town to where I
is
live,
that right? So
and I got
you
in the
got
car.
to actually interact with him. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was great. And his car was completely full of cassettes. It
Oh,
was just piled high with cassettes.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
Anyway, I was driving up, sitting next to him in this left hand, like in the driving seat, basically. He was
yeah,
driving up Springbank, the main arterial road out of Hull,
yeah,
next to John Peel.
yeah.
And I
Well,
looked out the window and I saw one of my friends. It was John's wife, actually, Jill. And I like,
yeah.
whoa, oh.
Yes. Well, you were very fortunate because most that I talked to, they did Peel sessions, but they never actually got to
Yeah, well,
meet him.
you don't meet him when you do Peel
Yeah,
sessions, yeah, but
right,
he was
right.
really nice. So later on, when I saw Jill, she was like, "Who was that old guy you were driving in that car with? Why were you
Yeah,
waving at me?"
right, right. Well, how was
Mm.
it? How was it being filmed for the Tube? How was that?
Oh, the film. Well, so what? Yeah, it was great. So what we did, I think we were just in the right place, the right time. The Tube had just started. Um, yeah, we were right place, right time, and they said, "Right, we'll come and film you." Pick somewhere. So again, John had the idea, let's go to the scrap metal place, which is on the River Hull. So we literally knocked on the little door of the porter cabin. We're a band, can we come in and film? Oh yeah, come in. So we went in and we filmed it there. And it was great. It became an iconic video for us. It was great. 40 years down the line, which was 2023, I think, we reformed, went on a couple of UK tours. And for the first one, we released a 40th anniversary red vinyl record of Good Technology. And we went to, I don't know if you've seen it, but we remade the video.
Oh, no, I haven't.
So,
I haven't seen
and
it.
again, we
Oh,
did this video. It was where we went along. It was John's thought again, and it worked. It worked really well. We went up. We kind of intercut the old video how we were then 40 years ago. We went back to the same scrapyard
did you?
and filmed and dressed up in the same approximately the same clothes,
Yeah, yeah.
and we were filmed doing we tried to replicate the movements that we had, and filmed the new version of the song, which was a remix,
Yeah.
um, and
Oh,
then it was cut between the two, and
the
I
two.
mean it's got a quite a bittersweet lyric, really. It's about the
Yeah.
mistreating the earth and what the end result is. I don't think people realize that a lot of the time, but so we have this long sad ending. It was great to do, but that time when we went to the tip, the wet recycling plant as it is called now, crikey, we had to jump through hoops, to get health and safety agreement to go on.
Oh, don't you? Oh, anything these days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
There's so
mean, the
much
first time
yeah, red
just
tape.
walked on.
Yeah,
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 red.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We had to wear you know, we had to wear hard hats looking round, going round to look round, high
Red,
vis jackets. And,
right.
yeah,
Red tape for red guitars,
it
right?
was. Yeah.
Well, well, when did you hear that Johnny Marr was interested in the band? He
Yeah.
was,
So we went to do a BBC session for John Peel or Janice Long. I think it was John Peel. And the producer there, there was a different producers at different times. And the one we got allocated for this particular session was a guy called John Porter, who was really good guy. He his history was he was from Leeds. And he's the thing he's produced a lot of bands and a lot of our albums since then. Still working, I think. He lives in America now, actually. I heard a podcast with him recently. And
oh,
he'd
okay.
just done an album with R.L. Burnside, actually.
Oh,
But
all right.
yeah, but he was originally I think the original bassist in Roxy Music. And Roxy Music always they kind of had a set of different bassists. There wasn't really one well-known bassist, but I think when they went on the first tour or something, he was like, "Oh no, I'm not going to do that." So
Right,
he
right.
played on, I think one of the albums. I think he played on the uh, For Your Pleasure. I think anyway. But he was the producer, and I think a couple of weeks before he recorded us, he'd recorded the Smiths, and the Smiths had recorded. Is it this charming man that's got that little dun 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 dun, that little guitar intro?
Yes, I think it
And
is. It is. It is. Yeah.
is it Hand in Glove? It's one of those. I think it's just
Yeah, I
this
think it is.
charming man. And Hallam, our guitarist, who's a really different. We're really different bands, but he also plays intricate guitar parts. And John Porter kind of saw a connection and said, "Oh, you know, I've met this other band. You might be interested in getting in touch with them." So he swapped our tapes with each other, and I can't remember exactly how we made contact, but we went to support them in Liverpool somewhere. They were doing a couple of gigs over in the Northwest. And later, not much later on, but later on, they were organising their first tour. Their album, which was produced by John Porter,
Yeah.
had was about to be released. It was just about to be released, and they got really kindly and great for us, got in touch. I think they were on rough trade at that point, and they'd asked if we wanted to support them, and that was without doing a buy-on. We didn't, because we were a completely independent band with no record label. We'd produced our own album and singles. They said without a buy-on, so we didn't have to pay to go on the tour with them. So we
Oh,
said, yes, you know, that would
yeah,
be great.
definitely.
Got to tour with the Smiths. Now the Smiths were a kind of up and coming band, but they weren't massive at that point. But probably the week that we started the tour, the album came out, hit gold,
Yeah.
and the tour was packed. You know, it was a fantastic tour. So we saw the Smiths every night, growing in confidence because at that time they were quite a new band, a little bit younger than us, and we'd done a lot of gigs, and we were quite accomplished at playing. So we went down well with their audience. You know, it was
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
fantastic, and we
Okay.
got on well with them. They were good. You know, I remember
Okay.
them play. I remember Johnny and Mike playing one of our songs, "Heartbeat Go," at the sound check.
Oh, is that
Just
right?
a little, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, they were
Yeah.
nice. In fact, Johnny's put us up when we played in Manchester in his house, you know. It was nice. He was there with his wife, who he's still married to. It was just, you know, it was just really nice. It was a
Yeah.
good time.
Well, well, again, there to be at the advent of their career, to be playing with them, when they were
Mm.
getting
Yeah, yeah.
started. Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Looking back at some on the website, some of the posters and flyers from some of the gigs, early on, I saw you played on the same night as the band The Room.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I
Yes.
talked with Dave Jackson a
Oh, right.
couple of
I'll look
years
out for that. Didn't
couple of
spot that
years
on your
ago.
channel. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So
Well,
another
yeah,
interview.
well, the mates of ours, The Room, we played with them back in the day. Did we go on tour? They came on tour with us, I think. Oh, well, in fact, they came on tour with us on our last tour a couple of years ago.
That's right. That's right. Yes, they
Yeah,
did.
Becky, Dave. I've seen quite a lot of Dave, and still we're in touch quite a lot. They're great. Becky, yeah, her son was in the band as well.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, really good. I love their music. I really
yeah.
enjoy it. I think they're a great bunch. Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah,
Mm.
it's fun doing these interviews because of all the common threads that I find, and the
Yeah.
more of these that I do, the more that I come across.
Yeah, that's what I really
Connections.
enjoyed about Dave Wolfenden's interview. I was like, oh, I felt like I was talking to him, I don't remember
Right,
that. And
right.
also Paul Trinker, I
Oh,
enjoyed his interview.
yes, Niam,
And he's
Niam.
from Hull, actually. Yeah,
Yeah,
we know him from
right.
back in the day. Obviously, haven't seen him for a long time, but it was really good to watch his interview. Really good guy. And those
Yeah.
early days, yeah, great. In fact, yeah. So Hallam, our guitarist, and the guy that he was in the band with in Niam, Trev, they were both lollipop men outside the schools on zebra. I don't know if you have this in America on the zebra crossing, helping the children cross the road. So
Yes,
they were
yes,
like, that was their, oh yeah, that was their unity outside of
yes.
music.
Right, right, right. Their connection there.
Yeah,
Well, yeah. Well, the band would also play the hacienda. I noticed one of those
yeah,
flyers with a certain ratio in the Wake, among others. Two bands that I followed.
yeah,
I really like the Wake. Yeah, always.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that
yeah.
was
Great, good days. Mm, yeah.
interesting. Yeah, a lot of those bands on there. I mean, it ticked all boxes for me. I mean, a lot,
Yeah.
so many
Have
of
you
them.
ever interviewed Dave Graney or Claire Moore from the Moodists?
No, neither one.
Oh, they're in Australia. Dave and
Yes.
Claire are really great. They were
Yeah.
around at the time and they're still playing. They're very prolific. They're really nice people.
I have a CD copy of Slow to Fade, the first
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
and I still enjoy Heartbeat Go
Yeah, yeah.
and the title track Slow to
Yeah,
Fade.
yeah,
Those are
yeah.
my two
Great.
faves.
Good.
Yeah,
That's good to
off,
hear. Yeah. Good to hear.
off
Yeah.
of those, off of those.
Yeah. Well, we still play Heartbeat Go in the set
Oh,
because
do
it's
you?
an instrumental and it's fun. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
It's nice playing that live. Well,
Yeah.
well. How did the band secure a contract with Virgin Records?
Yeah. So what happened was after the first album, the singer Jeremy Kidd left. So we got another singer in, a guy from Hull who was in a great band in Hull. And we were, and well, basically what had happened was in the early days and continuing, the record companies were really interested in us. We got a lot of interest. We went to London, we played a lot of gigs in London and other big cities. We went on some tours. We did, we played a lot. We went to toured Europe 3 times, maybe Scandinavia. The record companies were always interested in us, but we were kind of quite keen to stay independent. We met up with a fair few of the kind of senior management A&R guys, and I don't know, nobody really sold themselves to us. Um,
Yeah.
I found that at the time, I don't know, I found that there was one or two people of the guys in the A&R or publishing companies who never made eye contact with me amongst the band.
Oh, okay.
That was
Okay.
the way that I felt a bit sidelined, really, as a woman in the music business. Um, I just felt that I wasn't I could see them looking around the guys for approval. And I was like, I didn't say anything at the time, but I felt it. And I didn't, and afterwards we go, no, not that. So we stayed independent as long as we could. When we got into the second incarnation of the Red Guitars with the new singer, um, we Richard Branson was interested, and he took us out for a meal and seemed like a really nice guy. So, and he assigned his top A&R guy, who was Simon Draper, to us as our main
Oh,
contact.
right.
But he met us a couple of times, as I say, took us out for a meal, walked into a glass door actually in the restaurant, um, but was okay.
I've
um,
done that. I've done that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and he got over it and was, it was okay. Um, and we just decided, it's hard, isn't it, promoting yourself? It's hard. So we decided to sign to Virgin. Now that was at the time when they were making massive deals. And we didn't make a big deal of it ourselves because we were a bit like, well, we've finally signed. But there was the other big deal at the time was Zig Zig Sputnik, and they were like branding it about that they got a £4 million deal or whatever it was, which was the same as our deal actually. But
Yeah.
like as you'll know, it works. They
Yeah.
gave us all this pretend money. and then said, right, you're going into our studio, which is going to cost you, so many £1,000 a day, with our producer, who's going to cost you another so many £1,000 a day.
Mhm.
And we want you to flagship Virgin Japan and Virgin America. So they were kind of wanted us to be the the British or the Virgin sort of U2-y type band, REM, that sort of thing, which was not really what we were about at all. And we went in the studio and, we just, nobody really enjoyed it. Nobody, we all felt different reasons why we didn't enjoy it. My feeling was, I don't know, I wasn't so happy with the way the songs were shaping up. Um, I had a great bass, which I still got, and I love playing it. I had a couple of great basses. I've got a lovely vintage Music Man Stingray, fretless, and also a fretted one. And they're gorgeous basses, but I had to hire a better bass, which, was really responsive. They made me hire one of those ones with no headstock on it, and it kind of put me
Right.
off. I didn't like it. It was really
Yeah.
responsive. It had a brass nut, and it was all, I just didn't like
You
it.
didn't take to that. Yeah.
No, no, I didn't want to. No, but they kind of, I don't know. I suppose I should have said no, but at the time I just felt pressurized. No, we'll get you a better one. And so I didn't enjoy recording any of my bass lines. I just remember really struggling with things that normally I would have just played. So nobody was really very happy with it. And so we kind of got this big deal with Virgin, and then the album came out, and by that time we'd basically split up. I think Hal had said, right, I don't want to play anymore. And we went, oh, well, to be
Right.
honest, yeah.
That's right. Yeah. It was Tales of
Mm.
the Expected. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which was the story of it. It was Tales of the Expected. That was why it was called that.
Right. I was gonna
We
say
didn't tell
it's
anybody that at the time,
how
but yeah,
appropriate. How appropriate. Yeah.
yeah.
That's happened so many times too.
Mm,
Bands will break up and then the album comes out later. The timing on that's not always the best.
mm,
And you've
yeah,
or the band has lost momentum by the time the album comes out, or they're working
yeah,
on other material, that kind of thing.
yeah,
But
yeah.
one track I do like, I think
Mm.
it's on that album, National Avenue,
Yeah,
Sunday Afternoon.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it's interesting that, I mean, yeah, some people absolutely love that album. I've not listened to it for a very, very long time. If I did, I might like it more.
right, right.
But honestly, that was the track that I utterly hated.
Oh, you didn't like that one. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that was the one
Yeah.
where I was really struggling to play. They were kind of, the producer was going, play it as if you're a brass section.
Uh-huh.
The bass
Oh,
is on a
okay.
brass section. What are you talking about?
Right, right. Yeah. Well, I like the shimmering guitar on that track.
Good.
I do
That's nice to hear. A lot of
I do
people
like.
love that track. It's
Yeah.
a popular track, and
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Well, to each his own,
Yeah.
basically. But yeah. But I
Mm.
figured, there was probably
Mm.
not some, real fond memories of that album. I could kind of tell.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, in the past now,
Yeah.
anyway. And all
Right.
in the past. Yeah.
Right.
No.
Well, the band played many BBC sessions over the years, and those tracks were assembled for the '93 release on RPM. Seven
Yes.
types of ambiguity. I like that
Yeah.
title. That seven
Yes.
types.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
83 to 86. Yeah, so you guys did play
Yeah.
quite a few sessions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Do-
that's interesting because at the time, when you go to Maida Vale to record a BBC session, you've probably heard this from other people. You don't get long. You get there.
right, right.
It's
Yeah.
in it's really lovely actually. Looking back, it's the big BBC studios. There's a producer there you've just got to meet. We had John Porter, we had Dale Griffin, who was the drummer out of Mott the Hoople did
Martha
one,
Hoople,
and I
that's right.
loved Mott the Hoople, and he was a bit grumpy. I think we got told off for laughing and I'm sent outside.
I heard that about
If you want to
Dale.
laugh, go outside. And I was like, oh gosh, he was my hero.
I heard that. I heard that about him. Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, so you don't get long, and we were kind of a bit nervous, and normally it would take us ages to get the drums down. You just got to get them down, you got to do it. So whenever we finished the track, the session, I don't know if we listened to them even, it was like, oh no, no, it wasn't that good. But listening back later, when we all reformed for these tours in the last couple of years, those are the tracks that we used to relearn the songs because that was how we used to play them live, and they sounded great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right, right.
it was good to hear then.
That
Yeah.
remind that remind. Do you familiar with the band Cud? Do you know that? Have
Oh
you heard?
yeah, I know of them. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
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 I
yeah.
talked to a guy, Will Potter, who the only album release I have was the BBC Sessions, which is like it was like 4 CDs, I believe, of their material. So that's the only thing I've had from them to relate
Mm,
to. But yeah, again, there were several bands, many that did that over the years. Well,
yeah, yeah.
well, Loudhailer Electric Company. How did the band coalesce, and who's in the lineup? Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we've been together about 12 years. I've always played and this has been, yeah, it's a good long-standing band now. So Rich, my husband, and I, for years ran an acoustic night where, people would come along and play. And it was a nice thing to do. We met a lot of really nice people, and it was just kept us ticking over with this sort of nice night out in a few different venues. A person that started coming along was Jeff Parsons. Now, Jeff Parsons was the guitarist in a band called Dead Fingers Talk, and Dead Fingers Talk were a little bit before my time, but I did know of them because I really liked them. To me, they were a bit of Velvet Undergroundy.
Yeah.
They were from Hull and in Hull, but they, in about 1977, I think, went to London and moved down to London. They were a fantastic um, post-punk band, and and they did well. They got a deal with a major record company, and they recorded a great album, Storm the Reality Studios, in which was produced by Mick Ronson.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
Jeff got to play Mick Ronson's gold top Les Paul, really kind of like,
Oh,
ooh,
did he? Did he?
yeah, I was
Okay.
quite impressed by that. Yeah, Jeff's a fantastic guitarist, absolutely fantastic guitarist. But he hadn't been playing much, I don't think. This is like, we're talking 15 years ago, and he started coming down to the acoustic night, and we got to know, me and Rich knew him anyway, but we got to know him more. And one time we said, shall we try an electric version of our acoustic night? So we got in touch with the Adelphi. I don't know if you've heard of the new Adelphi Club in Hull, but it's a small but very well respected music venue in the north of England, I suppose. And so we went along to the guy Paul who runs the Adelphi, and we said, "Can we come to do an electric night?" And the acoustic night was called Loudhailer Acoustic, so we said we're going to call it Loudhailer Electric.
Oh, okay.
So, and he accidentally billed it as Loudhailer Electric Company. I don't know why he did that, just as
Yeah.
an accident. So it was on the flyers as Loudhailer Electric Company. And we were going to have it as a night when everybody can come along and play. But in the end, we did it as a night where we played. So, I don't know why. Maybe nobody came along. And Jeff said, "Oh, I know a guy who plays the drums, who's a student of his." So we basically went on the stage and had a jam,
Oh, okay.
and it was great. We
Yeah.
really enjoyed it, and we went, "Oh, this is good, let's carry on." So that was it, Loudhailer Electric Company.
Okay. Okay.
We've been going for 12 years. We've recorded an album, smaller album. We're doing some recording now at the moment, actually, so we've got some new stuff ready to come out.
Wow.
And we've played all this time, and we just have a great time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really good. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
so I play bass, but I sing, and Jeff sings backing vocals. Rich, my husband, plays acoustic guitar, and then we've got a guy called Mark, who's a friend of my son, of one of our sons, who's our drummer right now. We had a different drummer to start with. We've had a couple of different drummers along the way who maybe have spontaneously combusted throughout. But got Mark in, who's
yeah.
a really
Yeah.
good guy.
Hello.
Uh,
Yeah.
so we've got a nice lineup, and we just have a
Right.
good time. We just
Right.
have a good time. We've got a good set. We've got a nice, a small but nice following in Hull here, and we sometimes play in other places in the north of England. Played a few
Oh, yeah.
festivals.
Combusted all Spinal Tap. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Have you seen the new one?
No, I haven't. Have you?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
No, I kind of feel like it might burst the bubble. Really,
I was gonna
yeah,
say a lot of times for me, the second one is not as quite as good
mm,
as the first. You know,
yeah,
but
yeah. We'll see.
you know,
We'll see.
I'd like to hear from the people who have, what the feedback on it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting. Yeah.
definitely. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
well,
yeah,
yeah, you had the album what, Curses in
yep, yep,
2016. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Were you happy
Yes,
with the result
it's been
for that?
really good. The way that came about was that there's a studio, a real, an old school studio in Hull, near where we live now, actually, called Fairview Studio, and it's got a big history. It's been going for maybe 60 years, well, more than 60 years, I would think. Started off in the front room of a guy called Keith Hurd, who was a musician many years, well, still is a musician, but that was his thing, and he ended up being a producer and an engineer, and you know, and that was where the Red Guitars, that's where we recorded Slow to Fade album and many of our singles until we signed the deal. We recorded everything or most things at Fairview, we did Red Guitars. We did that very purposefully. We thought there's this great studio, analog studio here in Hull, so we're not going to go to London. We're going to record up north. We
Right.
did that quite purposefully. We wanted to stay in Hull. We wanted to kind of show that you don't have to move to London. I don't know if this is true, but that's what we strove to do.
Right.
Um, and so we recorded our album in Fairview Studio, and about 10 years, 15 years ago, it was the 50th anniversary of Fairview Studio. And the engineer, producer who was still there, asked me if to represent the Red Guitars, because the Red Guitars had split up at the time and weren't together. Loudhailer Electric Company would like to go in and record a track on the house for a compilation album he was putting together. So there was people on it like Michael Chapman, who'd recorded there over
Oh,
the years.
right.
Bill
Oh,
Nelson still records there.
oh.
Bill
Now
Nelson
that's
recorded.
somebody I would love to talk to, Bill Mills.
Oh yeah, he's quite shy, but I think
I,
well,
I
quiet,
heard
but I
that. I've
think
heard he's very
yeah,
reticent.
he
Yeah,
might do. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Oh, that was Axe Victim. Those really great influential albums, and one of the early bands that I saw at the Ford Green actually. So
yeah.
again, it
Yes.
was great to be, for Bill Nelson to be on the album. There's some good there's some really great tracks on that album, and he and John Spence, the engineer producer at Fairview. So he invited us to join and record a couple of tracks, a track basically. But we went along. We ended up recording two tracks because we had time to do that. The album came out and it was great. Fairview 50th, really nice compilation album, a nice celebration of 50 years of Fairview.
Um,
And we had a great time going back in Fairview. We walked in, it the smell of the studio, it was just the same really. And nobody smokes in
yeah,
there anymore, but
yeah,
it
yeah.
was, it was really nice to go back. And so Loudhailer Electric Company, we went in and we recorded our whole album there then. That's what we decided to do. And it was great.
Oh,
We had a lovely experience there. It was really good.
oh wow. Yeah, it'd be
Mm.
nice to get a hold of a copy of that
Oh
50
yeah, I can send it
anniversary.
you. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you
Yeah.
have a copy? You have a, oh wow.
I've got a copy of Cursus.
Right.
Um, I can get you a copy of the compilation album, I think. I'll have to talk to John, but yeah.
Okay, okay. I mean,
Mm,
well. Not
mm,
see now you're
mm,
figuring out my ulterior motive in doing
mm.
these interviews.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah,
tell people. Anyone that offers, I
yeah,
said, "Aha! Now
yeah,
you're on to me." That to try to
yeah,
get these releases. No,
yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
no, it's good. It's good. I mean,
Yeah.
Keith once said to me laughingly, Fairview Studio, it's the studio of the siblings of the stars because he'd had, I think, Pauline Gillen and Simon Townsend and people, everybody's brothers or sisters have been in there. And
Yeah, right, right, exactly, exactly.
Mm.
Well, you played in the band. Let me see if I pronounce it right. Celtarabia, is
That's
that?
correct. Yeah,
Ah,
yeah,
good for me.
correct. Well done. Yeah. Yeah. So that's been a brilliant band to play in over the years. Um, about 30 years ago, I was invited to join Celtarabia. I'm kind of as a session museum, a session musician, but and I've stayed with them ever since, really. So it's the band of Quentin Budworth and Amanda Lowe, who Quentin is a hurdy-gurdy specialist, and he plays hurdy-gurdy, but not just any old hurdy-gurdy. He has it all mic'd up with lots of effects and sounds. And Amanda Lowe, plays a hammer dulcimer.
Oh, I
So
love the
these,
hammer
yeah,
dulcimer. I
and
love
she's a really kind of, they're both top-notch players in what they do. And their band, they'd recorded a couple of albums. Quentin had played in a band called Sons of Arca. as in the son, not in the
Okay, right,
child, yeah,
right.
Sons of Arca. And they'd recorded a couple of albums, and they reformed the band with kind of session players, people they knew really. So I've been the bass player in that band for a long time, and what we play, and we haven't played this year because Quentin's moved up to the Isle of Skye now, but we play festivals. So we play like green gathering festivals, pagan festivals. We played most recently at the Bearded Theory, so some bigger festivals, but lots of really lovely small kind of druid gatherings.
Yes,
And
yes,
it's just fantastic. And the drummer, we've got a couple of drummers. Our primary drummer is Mark Chillington, who lives in Leeds. He's a fantastic jazz, open-handed sort of skiffly, great drummer. And um, I know he's been in Red Lorry, Yellow Lorry. I don't know what else his history is, but I think he's got a good history.
yes, yes.
And we've literally played together for 30 years. Um, and I think in that time we might have had one rehearsal because
Really?
we've got a number of songs, tunes, and we just kind of just the alchemy is there, and we just
Right.
play. And
It's
as soon as we get to, and people know what to expect, I suppose, when they come and watch the band, and we literally walk onto the stage, and everybody starts jumping up and down. And we go,
exactly.
bam, and that's it. Everybody's dancing.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh. Well,
I love playing with Celtarabia. It's so good. And then what happened was in COVID, we couldn't do any, and we've not done much recording, to be honest. There are some early Celtarabia albums before we joined, well, Mandy and Quentin, but before Chill and I are joined. But in COVID, we couldn't do any gigs, and that was our bread and butter. That was my bread and butter band, really. Summer festivals with Celtarabia.
yeah.
And Quentin at that time lived up in Bridlington, and I'm here in Hull. And I said, Q, do you fancy um, doing some recording together, doing a bit of a sideline? I've recorded this, and I've sent him a couple of things that I'd done. And he went, yeah, So I said, right, well, if you send me some Gurdy, send me some tracks of some Gurdy, and I'll knock them up into something and send them back, see what you think, and then you can comment, and we'll bounce it to and fro. So that's what we did, and we ended up. I think I've got one here. We did 3 albums.
Yes, yes, you did.
So that's the
Yes, you
first
did.
one, and that's a beautiful cover that Quentin's partner Anna Kirk
Yeah.
Smith painted. It's
Yes,
lovely, isn't
right.
it?
Yeah.
Mm.
Agent
We
Star.
called ourselves Agent Starling. Yeah,
Right. That was my next question.
yeah.
Was that, and that's based on the character from Silence of the Lambs, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of, I don't know why, I
In a
think
way.
Anna thought of that actually.
Okay.
I don't know why. We were thinking of all sorts of names, and we had to think of something because we had the album ready, and it's called European Howl. And I
Yeah.
really like that. One of the tracks
Yeah.
is called European Howl. And at that time, we were
Yeah. Hold that up again.
leaving Europe. Oh, sorry, we were leaving Europe. We
Right.
were and
Wow.
also obviously there's the connection
That's,
with Howl. It's quite experimental. Well, it's very
yeah.
experimental to me. We've done a couple of other albums. That was our latest one. That's called Clandestine.
Oh,
And
there you
there's
go. That's some nice. Who did the artwork on?
we've done different things at doing them. I've got to say that was AI.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah.
Oh,
We
I'm
kind
so
of before it
disappointed.
was quite so,
No, no,
frowned
no.
upon to use AI.
Just
And then we've
kidding.
got another one as well here, which is yeah, that was called Constellation of Birds.
Ah.
So we've recorded 3 albums. We did a Christmas or a kind of winter solstice single, and we've nearly got a new album out,
Oh,
which I'm
okay.
quite excited about.
All
It's
right.
nearly ready. We've got a Christmas release,
Next.
3 album release coming out.
Oh, okay.
And then we've got a new album it's not quite finished yet, but it's nearly finished. And it's what I'm working on mostly at the moment. And it's going to be ready in the new year.
In
So,
the new year. Okay.
yeah. So I'm excited about that. I'm really pleased with the way it's coming along. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like some.
Also I should say the other person on Agent Starling is my youngest son, Dexter, who's 21, and he's a violinist.
Oh, is that
And
right? Okay.
so during COVID, he was 17 at the time, 20, 16, 17, and he was in the house, so he played violin on as a guest.
Yeah.
on nearly all the tracks. And he is a member of the band. We call him our special guest, but he's played on virtually every track and
Right.
important parts as well. He's, really had an important part to play. And it's been nice that we've been part of his development. And now he's
Yes. Yes.
grown up.
Right.
He's um, a great musician, and he's adding a lot to what we do now. So it's turned around a little bit.
I was gonna say, yeah, you've passed on the musical gene. Yeah.
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 I've got a daughter and three sons, and different elements. They're playing music. And one of my other sons, Corey, who's also does a lot of music, and Dexter both play together quite a lot. So it's
Oh,
good. And
that's
then, um, yeah, so basically, when we were doing our last Celtarabia gigs, one of them, well, Mandy was there, but she had to go home. She got a call. She had to go home because there was a member of the family had ill health, and she had to leave just before we were about to go on stage. So Dexter happened to be with us just there. He had his violin in the car, and Quentin said, "Well, can you stand in?" And Dexter went, "Yeah." So he did the gig
that's
without,
nice.
he just did the gig, and it was brilliant. I was so proud and so
Yeah.
pleased, and we had a good time. And he did another gig after that when Mandy was with us as well. So, oh, nice,
That is
felt
nice.
really nice. Yeah,
And growing up on your listening to your music, it's kind of
yeah.
it's bridged that generation
Oh,
gap.
it was really
You know,
good. And another
yeah.
time when the Red Guitars got back together and we went on tour, I had to miss one or two Celtarabia gigs, which I was gutted about because, I'm
Oh
like, "Oh, I
yeah.
don't want to lose my foot in the door there." But
Right.
my other son, Corey, who plays bass,
Uh-huh.
he stood in for me. So I was like, "Oh, that's all right. Keep it in the family."
Right.
Happy with
Exactly.
that.
Exactly. Well,
Mm.
that's nice. That worked out like that. Well, yeah. The moving on to Undead Guitars.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
latest. I watched and listened to Blazing Zombies. I bet it was real popular on Halloween, right?
I mean, it took us a while to get that video together. We didn't really record it for Halloween, but it was ready in time for Halloween. So
Yeah.
that's what we
Yeah.
had to do. Loads of fun to do.
Yeah. I
Loads of
imagine.
fun. We've obviously, you can see by the video,
Yeah.
and
You
that
were
gig we
enjoying.
did. Yeah, we did a gig, our first gig as a four-piece. Um, and we invited the audience to come to the gig. And if you dress up as a zombie, you come in for free.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
And
Okay.
so everybody did. And they were, and they're all, on the video doing their zombie
Yes.
moves.
Yes. Yes. I thought it turned out real well. Yeah,
Mm,
I think it did.
it
Wow,
was good.
that was a good promo for that. Dress as a zombie. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really
Yeah.
good, and we had a lot of fun doing it. The alchemy in the reg guitars, or the undead guitars as we are at the moment, is really good. It was just interesting. We got back together after 40 years. Hallam had been playing in Cape Town, and I'd been constantly in bands here. John had been a music producer and recorder for many years. Matt had played less, but we got back together, and it was just magic,
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just lovely. And but what was really interesting was when we started reminiscing about the past. Honestly, I don't trust my memory anymore because the things I remembered, no, people remembered completely differently. And
Right.
and other guys in the band remembered something that that
Right.
happened. I
Right.
have no memory of that at all.
Yes. Yes.
It
Yes.
was a bit
Yeah.
shocking.
Well, that's why I've done. I tend to like not want to interview more than one person per band, but it's just turned out that I have, a few times, a couple of members that
Oh,
were in
have
the same
you?
band,
Yeah,
but it's good because they have different recollections,
yeah,
exactly. So
yeah,
you
yeah,
get different
yeah.
slants, on that. But yeah,
Mm.
that's funny. Speaking of zombies, I have to tell you this story. My best friend, who's passed a few years ago, but when we were probably in our 20s, for Halloween, we said one of our favorite bands was the Zombies, the 60s band, right?
Yeah,
With
yeah,
Colin Blunstone. And so we said, let's dress up in those black suits with the tie. Remember how they used to
yeah,
dress up?
yeah.
And then do our faces, like put powder on our faces, and all this, with the makeup and everything. And nobody got it. It was like it just went over their heads. It's like, well, who are you
Really?
supposed to be? What? Yeah, what is it? What is it?
Oh,
But yeah, we thought
no.
somebody might catch it. Wow.
Nowadays they would.
Yes, yes, I think so. I
Be
think
all right now. Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah, I did get to talk to Chris White, which was it was one of those that I was really surprised about, that he
Yeah.
would actually want to do that. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Well,
great.
well,
Yeah.
talk some about There and Back.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
how,
Yeah. Yeah.
how long did you work on that?
Right. Okay. Well, that's interesting because we recorded Agent Starling. So I'd started doing those kind of fairly experimental recordings. And also the Red Guitars had just got back together. And I was spending quite a lot of the time going on the train up to Brid to where John lives. And we were doing most of the recording and mixing up in his studio. So I started to think of recording some backing tracks or the basic tracks for a new Agent Starling album. But Quentin had just moved house up to the Isle of Skye into a kind of a croft where, never mind a studio, I don't think he had any electricity there.
Okay.
So he said, oh, I don't think I can get anything together at the moment. So I thought, well, I've got these two or three tracks that I've started on. I thought I'm just going to carry on with them, but just by myself, um, and record them and do integral videos to every track and use the sounds of the train journey, the sounds of the train, the sounds of the people, the carriages, the plates and things rattling on the carriages
Yeah.
as part of the track to make the rhythm tracks out of. Um, so a bit musique concrète, really. Um, so I started to do it and I ended up with one track and then I made a video and I was experimenting with the videos with different colors and ideas as well. And I made another, then I made another, and they were all a bit, really different. And so some of them I was looking at doing spoken word things for them. Some of them I was looking at just making up words and making things up. Two of them, Rich and I were doing a project, Open Bridges Hull, which Open Bridges, which was involved going to Goole quite a lot. And Goole, it's another kind of northern town that's really unheard of in many ways. But we were going to Goole, and it was the Goole. There was a special celebration in Goole, so I did two videos for that, and I wanted to make them really different from each other because it was the same train journey, one there and one back.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
did one really bright and colourful and in 7/8 time with all these angular sort of sounds and clanks and things. Then I made the other one almost black and white and smooth with ordinary kind of more verse chorus thing, but with making up words which weren't really words, just to kind of give the atmosphere of what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
So I just carried on doing it. Some are more experimental than others. They've got, different kind of inspiration. One of them, I was just on the train, coming back on a busy train, and there was a woman talking to me about how her partner had left her, and she was gonna get free, She was like, it hurt me, but actually, he was controlling, and I want to be, and I can be free now, But and when you just meet somebody and you don't know them, but she's,
Right.
you suddenly have this short, really personal conversation because you don't know them. And so she's telling me all this, I love him, but I need to get away. And so that became the one. There's one, I love me, I love him not, I love him, I love him not. Can't remember what it's called now. Um, yeah, so that became that. There was different inspirations for them. And then suddenly I had like 11 or 12 tracks. So I thought, right,
Enough for an
it's an
album.
album.
Right.
It's an album.
Right.
Yeah, Rich and I have our own sort of record company, which is just a vehicle to release our own and our friends and
Yeah.
family sort of, we started off using it to release all sorts of different things. But after a while, I think it was in that COVID time, I just thought, I'm just going to do what I want to do and do stuff that's not work,
Yeah.
that doesn't make work. So we just release our own stuff on it now, which is
Yeah.
great.
You have to do what you enjoy, exactly. And
Yeah.
I have to say, I like that concept behind that. The train rides, I like that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yes,
It's
yes,
been really good. I'm really pleased with it, actually. It's the first thing I've done as a totally solo release
yeah,
album. I'm pleased with it. Yeah, I'm pleased to have done it.
yeah.
Yeah, and it got well reviewed. It's, it's a small thing in a big
Yeah.
pond, I suppose, but it got well
Well,
reviewed.
well,
Yeah.
kudos. Yeah, I have to
Mm.
say too, I like the cover too. It's got very vivid colors on that.
Yeah, thank
They,
you.
they kind of
Well,
jump out.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I'm pleased with that one. It's well, all the again, it came from the video, and I was also
yes,
experimenting with video. I know, you kind of feel like, am I an imposter? I haven't been to video college, but hey, I can do this. So I was experimenting with that, and I was really pleased with it. And that particular track, it's called Lemon Bells, and I wanted to do something that was based on a very old, talking right at the beginning about Baroque music. It's a John Playford tune, like from the 17th century called La Cloche, the bells, but it's became a well-known tune because it's oranges and lemons.
yeah,
So
yeah.
there's a version of it which is kind of virtually that tune from 1600s. So I did a version of that, and I really did it as an idea of it being a soundtrack for a video game.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
can
so
hear that.
that
Yeah,
track is the
yeah.
soundtrack of a video game. And that's what I liked about the videos, because of the way I filmed them, I did them all. I just literally put my phone on the window and
Mhm.
everything's going past.
Yeah, yeah,
And that was it. It's
yeah,
just whatever happened to go past, that's what I would make the video of.
yeah.
And sometimes it was easy, and sometimes nothing went past, it was just like a field for a long
Yeah,
time.
you're right.
Uh, so I had to be creative with that and maybe use color or no color or saturation or whatever. Everything just going past, and that became the theme of it really. But that one was like one of those platform games. It was one of the early ones that
Yes.
I did, a platform game where there's a little thing
Oh,
bouncing along.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Right. Right. I think one of the songs, the video, I think it went by a fairground or something. I want to
Oh
say,
yeah,
or like a roller coaster. I think it
yeah,
was.
yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's good. Yeah,
yeah. And it seems
yeah,
like I've seen that before on another album or from somewhere. I
yeah,
don't remember what it was. But yeah,
yeah.
one of the spoken word parts reminds me a little of Anne Clark.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Remember Anne Clark, or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yes,
Good.
how hers
Yeah.
were all spoken.
Yeah,
Hers-
yeah, yeah. I like it. I really like the spoken word. I like to do it, and I like to listen to it. I like instrumentals basically to
Yeah,
listen to mostly, but I'm not, but I like to kind of experiment. And yeah, I've really enjoyed doing that, kind of try and make something a bit different. Yeah.
well, I
Mm.
think it works. I think it
Mm.
works, and I'm glad you got some good reviews.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. I think it's interesting it's interesting when people compare you, or that's what people like to do. And I get quite a lot of comparisons with some things that I really like. Surprisingly, a lot of people talk about my vocals as being like Susie Sue or Patti Smith.
Okay.
And I love both of those women
Yeah.
as, as people, performers, writers, they're the whole thing. I love them. I wouldn't say I was. I've not. I've not got all their albums. I've not. It's not like been a real interest to me, but it's just something in the cavities in my body. I think.
Right. Right.
But I like those comparisons. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And inadvertently, it
Mm,
does sound, similar to that,
yeah. I'm
not
happy with that. Yeah.
not forcing it, right? Well, good. Yeah, those are some good references. Yeah, definitely there, referrals. All
Mm,
right. Well,
yeah. Mm.
anything, Lou, in
Oh,
closing that you
it's
could
been
think of?
really, it's been great to talk to you. I've enjoyed your channel, and so those ones that I mentioned, I've really enjoyed listening to, and I feel as if I know those people now through,
Yeah.
through watching them, which has been
Well,
great.
well,
So, mm,
that's what it's about to
mm,
me, sharing your
yeah,
journeys and
yeah,
making that connection, and then hopefully with
yeah,
other fans, watching those
yeah,
too,
yeah,
because
yeah.
people like to hear the history behind those.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're building a really good archive, and an archive of not only people that are particularly well known who've done
Right,
loads of interviews in the past, but
right,
stories like we're just talking about today, and the people who are not necessarily the most well known already
that,
interviewed people, and those
that's
stories would never be told otherwise.
see, that's what
So
it's about for me, is
mm,
kind of shining a light on
yeah,
the ones that I like to say kind of flew under the radar,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
that's where I think it started, because I like to collect a lot of various artists compilations, and Cherry Red is my
Yeah.
go-to label. I get so many from them, and
Yes.
and if certain songs on there, artists that I like, then I'll pursue, and
Mm,
maybe they only had one album or a few singles or what have you,
mm.
and again, and a lot of them are very surprised. You want to talk to me? It's like,
Yeah,
I don't,
yeah.
and they don't think they're kind of humble. They don't think they have anything to
Yeah,
really share, but they do because
yeah, yeah.
everybody has their own story. Everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's like interviewing the bassist and the drummer instead of the lead guitarist and the
There
singer.
you go. There you
Good.
go.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's right. So I
Yeah.
don't mind that. I don't mind that
Mm,
at all because,
yeah.
again, I'll have our stories to tell. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Great. Great. Well, thank you very much. Thanks very
Well,
much. And it's
well,
been really
well,
good to
you're
chat.
you're very welcome, Lou, and
Mm.
all the best to you. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks,
And
Greg.
all
I'll
right.
keep watching your channel, so I'll keep in touch with you. Yeah.
All right. All right. And you have a good, today's Saturday? Your
Yeah.
Saturday's almost over. It's
It is. Yeah. What time are you
okay.
there?
It's 11:15.
All right. Okay.
And
Well, I'm just about to go get tea ready. So,
okay. All right. Well, you have your tea and have a good rest Sunday too tomorrow.
yeah.
So, all right.
Thank you very much. All
You're
the
very
best.
welcome. All the best. Bye bye. Bye bye for now.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye bye.